What you hear while you sleep shapes how you live when you're awake. Most people don't know this, but your mind doesn't turn off when you go to sleep. It keeps listening, it keeps learning, and it keeps building the way you see yourself and your life. That means if you go to bed full of worry, fear, or doubt, you're training your brain to carry that into tomorrow. But if you feed it calm, truth, and strong thoughts while you sleep, you start to feel better without even forcing it. This isn't about hype or tricks, it's about using the quiet hours to rewire how you think and feel. Listen while sleeping and let your reality change without effort isn't just a title, it's a real way to take back control. Quietly, gently, without pressure. While you rest, you're not broken. You've just been feeding your mind the wrong way. Tonight, that changes. Chapter 1. Reprogram your sleeping mind to stop replaying old fears. Fear is a strange thing. It hides deep inside the mind and whispers when no one is watching. It tells you that you're not ready, that you're not enough, that you should wait until you feel stronger. And so, night after night, many people go to bed replaying the same scenes, the mistakes, the regrets, the failures. They lie awake not because they can't sleep, but because their mind is too busy defending the limits they never asked for. But here's the truth. Your life begins to change the moment you stop giving fear a home in your mind. Most people think change takes years, effort, struggle, but real change begins quietly, in the smallest moments. It begins when you choose what thoughts you feed your mind before you sleep. It begins when you realize that your mind keeps working long after you've closed your eyes. Your subconscious mind is like a gardener. It keeps planting seeds even when you're not watching. Every thought you replay before bed becomes a seed. If you go to sleep thinking about what's missing, what's wrong, or what could go wrong, you wake up surrounded by those same weeds. But if you fill your mind with better thoughts, calm, strength, gratitude, purpose, you start to see new things grow in your reality. Not overnight, not by magic, but by psychology, by simple truth. What you feed your mind at night shapes how you feel in the morning. You see, fear thrives in repetition. Every time you think the same fearful thought, you strengthen that path in your brain. It becomes automatic. You don't even notice it anymore. It's just there, guiding you quietly, steering your actions. That's why some people keep living the same year over and over again. They never update the script in their mind. To reprogram your sleeping mind, you must first take responsibility for what you allow into it. Before you close your eyes, notice what's playing in your head. Are you replaying a failure? Are you imagining what might go wrong tomorrow? Are you criticizing yourself for something that's already gone? Awareness is the first key. You cannot change what you refuse to notice. Once you've noticed, you have to replace it. You can't simply tell yourself, "Don't think about fear." The mind doesn't understand. Don't. It understands direction. Instead of resisting fear, give your mind a new assignment. Feed it words that build peace. Feed it simple truths that bring calm. For example, I'm safe, I'm learning, I'm growing, I've made it through before, I'll make it again. These aren't just phrases, they are signals to your subconscious. You're telling your mind what kind of thoughts to protect and repeat. At night, your conscious guard, the one that argues, doubts, overthinks, gets quiet. That's when your subconscious is most open. That's when the real programming happens. So use that time wisely. It doesn't take hours. Just a few quiet minutes before you sleep to remind yourself that fear no longer belongs in your life. Here's something to remember. The mind believes what it hears most often. If fear is what it hears, fear is what it creates. If peace is what it hears, peace becomes natural. That's why some people wake up angry or anxious for no reason. They fell asleep, feeding their mind with worry. But when you fall asleep in gratitude, calm, and purpose, you wake up lighter, stronger, more focused. This is not about pretending fear doesn't exist. It's about learning to train your focus. Everyone feels fear. It's part of being human. But fear doesn't have to lead your life. When you understand how your sleeping mind works, you begin to guide it instead of letting it guide you. Here's what happens psychologically. During sleep, your brain consolidates memories and reinforces patterns. It doesn't know which patterns are helping you and which ones are hurting you. It simply repeats what you give it. That means if you go to bed thinking, "I'm not doing enough," your brain will strengthen that feeling. But if you go to bed thinking, "I'm proud of what I gave today," it will strengthen that peace. Over time, those small changes create a new emotional baseline. You begin to feel different without forcing it. That's what people mean when they say, change without effort. It's not laziness, it's smart conditioning. Think of the people who constantly live in fear. They don't want to, but they've made fear a habit. Every night, their mind replays what could go wrong, so every day, their actions follow that script. You can't expect confidence from a mind that rehearses fear, so give it new lines. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. The tone you use with yourself matters more than you think. Most of the pain people carry is not caused by the world around them, but by the thoughts they repeat when they're alone. Those quiet hours before sleep are when those thoughts gain the most power. That's why it's so important to use that time to plant peace, not panic. If you want to reprogram your sleeping mind, make your bedroom a space of calm. Keep it simple, reduce noise, turn off the lights early, play soft sounds or calming words that remind you of strength and safety. Your mind records everything. The tone of the voice, the rhythm, the words, it all becomes part of your inner dialogue. That's why listening while sleeping is powerful. Your mind never truly stops listening. Now, some people say, can it really be that easy? And the answer is yes, if you stay consistent. Change doesn't need to be hard, it needs to be repeated. You've been rehearsing fear for years, so it takes a few weeks of new input to shift it. Every night you do this, you're showing your mind that peace is now the default setting. When you wake up after nights like that, something begins to shift. The same situations that once made you anxious start to feel smaller. The same problems you thought were heavy begin to lose weight. You respond with more calm, more clarity, more control. That's not magic. That's the result of giving your mind better material to work with. Here's a simple process. Before bed, sit quietly for a minute. Take a deep breath and acknowledge any fear you felt that day. Don't judge it, don't fight it, just acknowledge it. Then replace it with one positive truth. For example, I handled more today than I thought I could. Or, I'm still learning, and that's progress. Speak it softly, feel it as true. Then let it be the last thing your mind hears before sleep. Over time, your brain begins to prefer peace. It learns that calm feels safer than chaos. And once that shift happens, fear starts to lose its grip. You no longer wake up in a rush of worry. You begin to notice small joys again, the light in the morning, the sound of your breath, the stillness that used to feel empty but now feels full. That's how you know your subconscious is healing. There's one more thing to remember. You cannot move forward while holding on to the fear of the past. Many people sleep but never rest because they carry yesterday into every night. They replay conversations, mistakes, losses, as if worrying could change them. But you deserve rest that restores you, not rest that repeats your pain. When you release those fears before sleep, you give your body and mind permission to reset. Every night is a chance to start again. not through force, but through quiet intention. You don't need to fight fear in daylight. You can rewire it in darkness. That's the secret most people miss. Real change doesn't always happen in noise or effort. Sometimes it happens in stillness, in those silent hours when your body rests and your mind listens. You can't build a new life on an old mindset. So if your nights are filled with fear, start there. Change the story you tell yourself when the lights go out. Whisper new truths until they sound familiar. Repeat them until your subconscious believes them. When your sleeping mind changes, your waking life follows. And when you wake in the morning after nights like these, you will notice it. The air feels lighter, the day feels possible. You stand up with a calm you didn't have before. That calm becomes strength. That strength becomes confidence. And that confidence becomes the life you once thought was too far away. So stop giving fear your nights. Reclaim them. Let your sleep work for you. Fill those quiet hours with words that build, not break. Because the world changes for those who decide what plays in their mind after dark. Your sleeping mind is listening. Make sure it's hearing what helps you grow. Chapter 2. Teach your brain to accept peace as your new normal. Peace is not something you chase. It's something you train your mind to accept. Most people want peace, but their brain has been trained to live in tension. They are so used to the rush, the noise, the constant mental battle, that when calm moments come, they don't know how to rest in them. They look for something to fix, something to worry about, something to control. That's not because they don't want peace, it's because their brain has learned that stress is normal. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can teach your brain that peace is not an interruption, it's home. The human brain adapts to whatever it experiences most. If it's constantly surrounded by urgency and noise, it begins to believe that's the natural state of living. When silence comes, it feels strange, even threatening. That's why some people can't fall asleep without their phone beside them, or can't go a day without checking something they can't control. Their nervous system has learned to survive on stimulation. But survival is not living. You can live your entire life reacting, or you can choose to retrain your brain to respond with calm. The second path takes awareness and repetition, but it gives you something most people never find: steady inner peace. Your mind doesn't resist peace because it hates it. It resists because it doesn't recognize it. Think about it. If your entire life has been about racing from one problem to another, then quiet moments might feel uncomfortable. The mind starts to whisper, "What's wrong? Why is it so quiet? What if something happens?" That reaction is just conditioning. You've built a habit of alertness. And habits don't disappear, they get replaced. To make peace your new normal, you must expose your brain to peace repeatedly until it stops treating calm as a danger signal. One of the most powerful times to do this is during sleep. When you rest, your conscious guard drops. The thoughts you've repeated all day are what your subconscious strengthens at night. If your days are filled with worry, your nights echo that energy. But if you feed your mind calm before sleep, your subconscious begins to internalize that rhythm. You can do this by listening to soft, positive words, peaceful affirmations, or gentle sounds that carry messages of safety and ease. Your brain records that feeling and starts to associate rest with peace instead of restlessness. To teach your brain peace, you first have to stop giving energy to chaos. Every argument you rehearse, every bad memory you keep replaying, every small irritation you let stay in your mind, is a signal to your brain that conflict is important. It's time to reverse that signal. You don't have to control every thought. You just have to redirect your focus. When a stressful thought appears, pause. Don't argue with it. Simply replace it with something true and calm. For example, "I don't have to fix everything right now," or "I can handle this one step at a time," Over time, this simple act retrains your brain to choose peace automatically. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about changing how you respond to them. Most stress doesn't come from events. It comes from how we interpret them. The brain reacts to your interpretation, not the event itself. When you interpret challenges as threats, the body prepares for battle. But when you interpret them as opportunities to grow, the body remains stable. This balance allows clarity, patience, and smarter decisions. Peaceful minds don't avoid problems. They solve them without losing themselves in the process. Every day, your mind receives thousands of signals, some from outside conversations, screens, noises, and others from inside thoughts, memories, emotions. You can't stop all the signals, but you can choose which ones you strengthen. That's why mindfulness and stillness are powerful tools. When you pause for even 1 minute of slow breathing or quiet reflection, you interrupt the automatic stress response. You're telling your brain, "I'm safe, I'm here, I can handle this." With repetition, those few moments become an anchor. They remind the brain that calm is safe, and safety is peace. Another part of teaching your brain peace is breaking your addiction to drama. Human psychology often mistakes intensity for meaning. We think that if something doesn't make us feel extreme emotions, it must not be important. But the truth is, real life happens in the quiet moments. A meal with family, a walk outside, a good night's sleep. Those moments hold more peace than any achievement chased in chaos. If you can learn to find satisfaction in stillness, your mind will start to crave it. It will look for balance instead of conflict. And once it learns that peace feels better than panic, it will protect it naturally. Peace grows when you stop judging yourself. So many people carry internal tension, not because of what others think, but because of how they speak to themselves. They analyze every mistake, every flaw, every small failure. The brain takes those self-criticisms as commands. It believes that to stay safe, you must be on constant alert against yourself. But the brain can also learn the opposite. If you start showing yourself understanding instead of judgment, the body begins to relax. When you say, "It's okay, I'm learning," your nervous system responds with relief. That's the beginning of peace. You also have to watch your environment. The places you spend time, the people you talk to, the content you consume, all of it shapes your baseline state. You can't train peace in your mind if your surroundings constantly shout stress. Create spaces that feel calm. Keep your home organized, play soothing sounds, have lighting that relaxes your eyes. This isn't decoration, it's neuroscience. Your surroundings teach your brain what to expect. If your environment feels peaceful, your mind begins to mirror it. There's another truth that people often overlook. Peace requires trust. You can't relax if you're constantly waiting for things to fall apart. You must build trust in yourself, the belief that no matter what happens, you'll handle it. Trust reduces fear, and fear is the greatest enemy of peace. When you remind yourself of the times you overcame difficulties, you reinforce confidence. Confidence tells the brain, "We've been through worse, and we made it." That's how peace grows. Not from the absence of problems, but from the presence of faith in your own resilience. One of the most practical exercises to rewire your brain for peace is to set intentional pauses throughout your day. Stop for 30 seconds and check in. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Don't judge the answer, just notice it. Then take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. This trains your nervous system to associate awareness with calm. Over time, the brain learns that pausing doesn't mean danger. It means restoration. You start to carry that calm into your nights, and your sleep becomes more restful. You can also strengthen peace through gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already supporting you. When you focus on what's good, your brain releases chemicals that promote well-being. These chemicals create a sense of safety, which is the foundation of peace. Each night, before you close your eyes, recall 3 things that made you feel thankful. They don't have to be big, even a warm shower or a kind word counts. This practice tells your subconscious that life is okay, that peace is available now. Some people struggle to find peace because they believe they don't deserve it. They've tied their worth to productivity or perfection. As long as they're doing more, they feel valuable. But peace begins when you separate your worth from your work. You're valuable because you exist, not because you perform. When your brain finally accepts that truth, it stops chasing validation and starts enjoying the present. You can't teach your brain peace if you're constantly telling yourself you're not enough. Start by accepting yourself now, not someday. It's also important to manage the input you receive before sleep. Avoid overstimulation, avoid screens, loud news, and arguments before bed. Give your mind time to unwind. The final thoughts you entertain before sleeping shape the tone of your dreams and your next day. Replace negative input with peaceful sounds or affirmations that remind you of balance and strength. This practice creates a mental boundary between your waking worries and your sleeping peace. When you wake up, protect that peace. Don't reach for your phone immediately. Take a moment to notice your breath, your surroundings, and the simple fact that you're alive. Morning peace sets the tone for your entire day. If you start the day with chaos, your brain will chase chaos. If you start with calm, your brain will seek calm. Consistency is what turns temporary peace into your new normal. As your brain learns this new rhythm, you'll start noticing changes. You'll handle difficult people differently. You'll listen more and react less. You'll stop overthinking every little thing. You'll begin to enjoy time alone without needing constant distraction. That's when you know peace has become your baseline. You'll still have challenges, but they won't control you. You'll experience emotions, but they won't drown you. That's what it means to live from peace, not just wish for it. You might wonder if this transformation can really happen while you sleep and live your daily life. It can, because your mind learns from repetition, not effort. You don't have to fight your old patterns. You just have to stop feeding them. The brain naturally rewires itself when given consistent direction. Every night you end with peace. Every morning you begin with calm. You're reinforcing a new identity, one that thrives in stillness. Peace doesn't mean avoiding life. It means facing life from a place of balance. When peace becomes your normal, stress loses its control. You can handle more without breaking. You can give more without draining yourself. You can work, love, and grow without constant tension. You'll sleep deeper, think clearer, and wake with genuine energy instead of exhaustion. This kind of peace is not built overnight, but every night adds a layer. Every peaceful thought before sleep becomes a thread in the fabric of your new reality. The key is consistency, not perfection. Some nights you'll fall back into old worry patterns, but that's part of the process. Notice it, reset, and keep going. The brain learns from practice, not judgment. Eventually, peace stops being something you search for and becomes something you are. You'll find it in your breathing, in your tone, in the way you respond to life. That's when you know you've done it. You've taught your brain that peace isn't rare or fragile. It's your natural state. And once your mind learns that truth, everything in your reality begins to change.
Chapter 3. Build quiet self-worth while your body rests deeply. Self-worth is not something you earn from others. It's something you build within yourself quietly, especially when the world is not watching. Many people go through life trying to prove they're enough, to parents, to friends, to the world. They chase validation like it's oxygen, but still end each day feeling empty. That's because self-worth doesn't grow through approval. It grows through inner truth. It's built in the moments when you're alone with your thoughts, when the noise of the day has faded and your body begins to rest. That is when the real work of building quiet self-worth begins. When you sleep, your body recovers, but your mind also restores itself. The thoughts you carry into rest become part of that restoration. If those thoughts are full of shame, comparison, or self-criticism, your subconscious absorbs them like poison. But if those thoughts are calm, kind, and affirming, your subconscious begins to reshape your inner image. Your worth isn't built through effort, it's built through the messages you feed yourself consistently. What you repeat becomes what you believe. The truth is, many people have been programmed to doubt themselves since childhood. They were told to be better, quieter, stronger, thinner, richer, or smarter. The message they received, often without words, was that they weren't enough as they are. So as adults, they overwork, overthink, overgive, and still go to bed feeling like they haven't done enough. The body rests, but the mind wrestles. That's why you must use the quiet hours to rebuild that broken inner dialogue. You must teach your mind to finally believe that being alive is enough reason to feel worthy. When you go to bed at night, notice the tone of your inner voice. Is it harsh or kind? Is it judging you for not doing enough today? Or is it acknowledging what you managed to do with the energy you had? That tone determines how your mind repairs itself. A kind mind heals fast. If you want to build self-worth, you must begin treating yourself with the same patience you give to someone you love. Speak to yourself softly. Not because you're weak, but because you've been fighting yourself for too long. Quiet self-worth is not loud confidence. It doesn't need to show off or prove anything. It's that deep, steady knowing that you're valuable, even when no one says it. It's the feeling of being at peace with who you are, even when life isn't perfect. It's the voice that says, I'm still learning, and that's okay. You build it by refusing to measure yourself against others. Comparison steals peace and feeds insecurity. When you stop comparing, you give your mind space to grow into itself. At night, while your body rests, your subconscious listens. It remembers the last few thoughts before sleep. If those thoughts are filled with guilt or regret, that becomes the emotional tone of your rest. But if you end the day with gentle gratitude, even for small things, you teach your subconscious that life is not a contest but a gift. You can say something simple to yourself, like, I did my best today. Those 5 words might sound small, but they tell your mind that you are enough right now. Over time, that small practice builds quiet confidence that doesn't depend on achievement. Real self-worth begins when you stop performing for approval. You no longer shape your identity around other people's opinions. Instead, you start to care about how you feel when you're alone with yourself. You begin to ask, am I proud of the way I treated myself today? Did I honor my value? Did I give myself time to breathe? When those answers start aligning with love and respect, self-worth becomes natural. During rest, your body slows down, your breathing deepens, and your brain waves shift into slower rhythms. This state is ideal for rewiring self-belief. You can use this time to imprint powerful, truthful messages about yourself. Before sleep, close your eyes and repeat a few quiet affirmations. Not dramatic ones, but real ones. Say to yourself, I'm enough as I am. I'm growing every day. I deserve rest. As your mind drifts, those words sink deeper than you realize. You're not trying to force confidence, you're planting seeds of truth. It's also important to understand that self-worth is not built by denying your flaws. It's built by accepting them without judgment. You can acknowledge that you've made mistakes, that you're imperfect, and still believe you deserve love. The mind finds peace when acceptance replaces resistance. When you stop fighting who you are, your energy returns. That energy fuels growth. You start waking up lighter because you no longer carry the weight of pretending. At the heart of self-worth is honesty. You have to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. The disappointments, the fears, the times you let yourself down. They all deserve attention, not punishment. Healing begins when you stop running from your own reflection. In quiet rest, when there's no distraction, you can look inward with compassion. You might realize that you've been harder on yourself than anyone else ever has. That realization hurts at first, but it's the door to freedom. Your brain listens more carefully during transitions. The moments when you're about to fall asleep and when you first wake up, these are golden windows for reshaping identity. If you use those moments wisely, you can teach your subconscious that it no longer needs to chase worthiness. Instead, it can rest in it. Whisper gentle truths during that half-asleep state. Tell yourself that you are safe, that you are healing, that you are worthy of joy. You might not believe it immediately, but belief grows from repetition. The reason this method works so powerfully is that self-worth isn't an idea. It's a feeling. You can't think your way into it. You have to experience it emotionally. That's why rest is important. The body can't feel peace when it's tense. So begin your nightly routine by relaxing your body first. Breathe deeply. Unclench your jaw. Release your shoulders. As the body relaxes, the mind becomes more open. Then fill that openness with messages of acceptance and calm. The mind and body work together. Peace in one creates peace in the other. Self-worth also grows when you stop tying it to results. Many people believe they're valuable only when they're productive, but rest itself is productive. You can't build strength without recovery. When you rest deeply, you're not being lazy. You're allowing your body and mind to recharge so you can show up with clarity tomorrow. This mindset shift removes guilt from rest. It transforms sleep from escape into empowerment. Another powerful practice is forgiveness. Not toward others, but toward yourself. Every night before you sleep, forgive yourself for something small. It could be losing patience, forgetting something, or simply not being at your best. Say to yourself, I forgive myself for being human. This practice softens the inner critic and replaces shame with understanding. Over time, it teaches your subconscious that you're not defined by mistakes, but by growth. You can't build self-worth if you keep reliving moments that made you feel small. The past has already done its job. It taught you what you needed to learn. Now it's your turn to move forward. When those memories resurface at night, don't fight them. Just tell yourself, that was then, this is now. It's a quiet but powerful way to separate your identity from your history. Each time you do this, your mind learns to stop identifying with pain and start aligning with healing. When you build quiet self-worth, your relationship with the world changes. You stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop explaining yourself to those who misunderstand you. You stop apologizing for existing as you are. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, and make choices that honor your peace. You'll notice that your sleep feels deeper, your mornings calmer, and your energy more stable. That's what happens when your inner world aligns with self-respect. The key to maintaining this new foundation is consistency. Self-worth is like a muscle. It grows with you. You can strengthen it every night by giving yourself the care you've always expected from others. Create a nightly ritual that reminds your mind of your value. Dim the lights. Breathe deeply. Reflect on one thing you did well today. Celebrate small progress. These moments may seem simple, but they communicate one clear message to your subconscious. I matter, and that message becomes your identity. Eventually, your self-worth becomes quiet and unshakable. It doesn't rely on compliments or achievements. It exists naturally, like breathing. You'll notice that even when things go wrong, you no longer collapse emotionally. You'll feel a calm voice inside saying, I can handle this. That voice is your proof that the work is paying off. It's not arrogance, it's alignment with truth. You deserve to feel that kind of peace. You deserve to go to bed each night knowing you are enough, and to wake up without needing the world to remind you. Building quiet self-worth is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are, beneath the noise, beneath the doubt, beneath the layers of comparison. Your worth has always been there, it just needed your attention. So tonight, as your body rests, give your mind the gift of truth. Speak to yourself like someone who matters, because you do. Breathe slowly, feel your heartbeat, and remind yourself that being alive means you're already worthy of love and joy. That's how you build self-worth. Not loudly, not forcefully, but quietly. One peaceful night at a time. Over days and weeks, that quiet becomes strength. That strength becomes confidence. And that confidence becomes the unshakable foundation of who you are. When that happens, life feels different. Not because the world changed, but because you finally stopped doubting your place in.
Chapter 4. Feed your subconscious with thoughts that support your growth. Every human being lives with two minds, the conscious mind that decides what to do and the subconscious mind that quietly shapes who you become. The conscious mind makes plans, sets goals, and takes action, but it's the subconscious that holds the real power. It's the part of you that keeps your heart beating, stores every experience, and runs your habits on autopilot. It doesn't argue or question, it simply accepts what you feed it. If you fill it with doubt and limitation, it builds a life that reflects those thoughts. But if you feed it growth, possibility, and confidence, it starts working day and night to make that your reality. Your subconscious never sleeps. Even while you rest, it listens, processes, and records. The thoughts that stay with you as you drift off at night become the instructions your subconscious follows. That's why it's so important to direct your thoughts intentionally before sleep. If you go to bed thinking about what's missing, your mind spends the night strengthening feelings of lack. But if you fill your last waking moments with thoughts of progress and gratitude, your subconscious begins working on solutions instead of problems. Growth starts when you learn to give your mind better material to work with. Many people underestimate how powerful this nightly process is. They believe change requires hard effort, but transformation often begins quietly, through repetition and focus. Your subconscious learns through emotion and repetition, not logic. Every time you repeat a thought with feeling, your mind takes it as truth. That's why worry feels real, even when nothing bad has happened, because your subconscious believes what you keep showing it. To grow, you must feed it new truths that align with who you want to become. Start by understanding that your subconscious is not your enemy. It's not holding you back on purpose. It's simply protecting you based on the data it has received. If you've been telling yourself that life is hard, or that you're not capable enough, your subconscious stores that as fact. It uses that fact to keep you safe from risk. The problem is, safety and growth don't live in the same space. To grow, you must re-educate your subconscious, showing it that new experiences are not threats. They are opportunities. The simplest way to do this is by choosing your inner language carefully. Every sentence you say to yourself is a command to your subconscious. When you say, "I can't handle this," it listens and responds, "Understood." When you say, "I'll figure it out," it begins searching for solutions. Your brain is wired to confirm what you believe. That's why mindset is not a trendy concept, it's biology. The more you feed thoughts that support growth, the more your mind filters the world to prove them right. Before you can feed your subconscious growth, you must stop feeding it negativity. This means paying attention to what you consume, not just food, but information, conversations, and self-talk. If your days are filled with complaining, arguing, or comparing, your subconscious assumes that's the world you live in. It adjusts your behavior to match that environment. But if your daily input is full of learning, gratitude, and curiosity, your subconscious begins to expect good things.
and what the mind expects, it tends to create. Growth is not a one-time event, it's a pattern. Every pattern starts with small thoughts. A single positive thought repeated often enough becomes a belief. A belief becomes a habit, and a habit becomes your reality. The process works the same way for fear or failure. That's why being deliberate about your thoughts isn't spiritual fluff, it's practical living. You're programming your brain every day, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you programming it to grow or to stay stuck? To feed your subconscious growth, you need a clear vision of who you want to be. Not vague dreams, but specific qualities. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? Maybe you want to be calm, confident, disciplined, or kind. Once you know that, begin reinforcing it through consistent thought. When your mind says, "You'll never change," answer it gently but firmly. "I'm already changing." When it says, "You failed before," remind it, that was part of learning. These small corrections gradually rewrite your internal script. One powerful way to guide your subconscious is through visualization. Each night, before sleep, imagine yourself living with the mindset you want. See yourself making decisions from strength, speaking with confidence, acting with purpose. Don't force the image, just observe it naturally. The brain doesn't know the difference between real and vividly imagined experiences. The more you visualize growth, the more your subconscious begins to accept it as reality. This is how elite athletes and successful people prepare, not by wishing, but by training their minds to expect success. Your subconscious also responds strongly to repetition, without judgment. You don't need to believe every positive statement right away, you just need to repeat it calmly and consistently. At first it may feel fake, that's normal, you've spent years reinforcing the opposite story, but every repetition weakens the old pattern and strengthens the new one. The brain physically changes through this process. New neural pathways form, making growth automatic over time. Another essential part of this process is emotional alignment. Your subconscious learns fastest when emotion and thought agree. You can't say, "I'm confident," while feeling deep fear and expect it to work instantly. The goal is not to fake emotion, but to create small feelings of progress. Think about times you handled challenges before, times you felt proud or strong. Revisit those memories as you repeat growth-focused thoughts. That emotional connection tells your subconscious, "This feeling is safe, this is who I am." You can also feed your subconscious through your environment. The things you see and hear daily shape your mental programming. Surround yourself with reminders of growth, books that inspire learning, people who speak with encouragement, music that calms or uplifts you. Your environment becomes part of your mental diet. When it supports your goals, your subconscious automatically aligns with them. One overlooked way of influencing your subconscious is through your self-image. How you see yourself determines what you allow yourself to do. If you see yourself as small or unworthy, you'll unconsciously avoid opportunities. If you see yourself as capable, you'll naturally take action. You don't have to wait for success to feel worthy. Feeling worthy is what attracts success. Every night, spend a few seconds reinforcing a healthy image of yourself. Picture yourself walking confidently, speaking clearly, making progress without fear. That image becomes a blueprint for your subconscious to follow. During sleep, the mind consolidates the day's experiences. If you end the day in frustration, that emotion lingers through the night. But if you end it with thoughts of gratitude and growth, your brain encodes those feelings as your emotional baseline. This is why a nightly routine of positive input is so transformative. You could listen to affirmations, soft guidance, or recordings that speak to your goals. Even without effort, those words shape your subconscious landscape while you rest. Growth also requires that you remove limiting beliefs one by one. These beliefs often sound like facts, but are just long-held thoughts. Maybe you've told yourself, "I'm not good with people," or "I never finish what I start." Those statements act like instructions. Your subconscious takes them literally and filters your behavior to match. To grow, you must replace them with more useful truth. Instead of "I'm not good with people," say, "I'm learning to connect better." Instead of "I never finish," say, "I'm improving my focus." Subtle shifts create massive long-term change. Remember that your subconscious doesn't respond to pressure, it responds to consistency. You can't force growth by demanding it, you allow it by reinforcing it calmly and repeated. It's the same way the ocean shapes a rock, not through one powerful wave, but through gentle persistence over time. The more you repeat growth-oriented thoughts, the more your subconscious learns to identify with them. When your subconscious begins to change, you'll notice small differences first. You'll wake up feeling lighter, you'll react to challenges with more calm. You'll begin to feel capable in situations that once triggered doubt. Those subtle shifts are signs of reprogramming. They prove that your inner dialogue is reshaping your behavior naturally. Your outer world will start reflecting these internal changes. People will respond to your energy differently. New opportunities will appear, not by coincidence, but because your mind is now scanning the world for possibilities instead of problems. The subconscious acts like a filter. When programmed for growth, it helps you notice chances for improvement you would have ignored before. Feeding your subconscious growth doesn't mean avoiding discomfort. Real growth often comes with uncertainty, but when your subconscious believes you can handle it, you stop avoiding it. You start leaning into change with curiosity instead of fear. That's when development accelerates, because your energy is no longer wasted on resistance. You must also protect your progress. Be careful not to undo your inner work through careless words or environments. Avoid self-deprecating humor or conversations that reinforce limitation. What you say repeatedly becomes what you believe. Growth thrives in truth, not in sarcasm or self-pity. Each time you speak with self-respect, you remind your subconscious that you deserve success and peace. There will be days when old thoughts return. That's natural. The brain doesn't erase patterns instantly. When that happens, don't panic. Recognize the thought, remind yourself that it's old data, and return to your growth statements. The goal isn't to control every thought, but to train your default set. With practice, your automatic responses start to align with strength instead of fear. When you reach this level, growth no longer feels forced. It becomes part of who you are. You'll find yourself making better choices without needing constant motivation. You'll feel an inner calm that stays even during challenges. That's the sign of a well-fed subconscious, one that works for you, not against you. Each night, when you close your eyes, remember this simple truth: your mind is always listening. What you say in those moments before sleep matters. Speak to yourself with honesty, with hope, and with direction. Tell your subconscious the story you want to live, not the story of your past, but the one of your potential. If you feed your subconscious with thoughts that support your growth, your reality will begin to mirror that growth. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. One day, you'll look back and realize that you no longer have to force positivity. It simply feels natural. You won't need to fake confidence. It will rise from within. That's the quiet miracle of feeding your mind truth. Growth is not found in effort alone. It's found in alignment. When your conscious intentions and subconscious beliefs finally agree, life moves smoothly. The resistance fades, the struggle softens, and progress becomes natural.
That's the moment your mind becomes your greatest ally. And when that happens, everything else begins to fall into place, quietly, steadily, and without effort.
Chapter 5. Detach from negative loops that drain your energy nightly. There comes a point in every person's life when they realize that most of their exhaustion isn't coming from the work they do, but from the thoughts they repeat. The constant replay of conversations that went wrong, the mistakes that never stop echoing, the worries about things that haven't even happened. Those are the real thieves of energy. They take the peace out of your nights and the strength out of your mornings. You can work hard all day, but if your mind is trapped in negative loops every night, you'll always wake up tired. Detaching from those loops isn't about ignoring your feelings. It's about freeing yourself from mental habits that no longer serve you. Negative loops often start small. One thought triggers another, and before you know it, your mind is replaying an entire story you didn't ask to relive. You think about what someone said, how you responded, what you should have done differently, and what you'll say next time. Hours pass and nothing changes, except your energy. That's the cost of looping thoughts. They keep your body tense and your nervous system alert, even when there's no threat. Your body might be in bed, but your mind is still in battle. To detach from these loops, you must first recognize them. Awareness is the key. You can't break a cycle you don't see. So start noticing when your thoughts begin circling the same track. You'll feel it, the tightness in your chest, the heaviness in your stomach, the restless energy that makes it hard to relax. In those moments, pause. Name what's happening. I'm looping again. That simple acknowledgement pulls you out of unconscious thinking and back into awareness. The loop loses power the moment you see it for what it is, a habit, not reality. The next step is acceptance. You can't detach by fighting the thought. Resistance gives it more energy. When you tell yourself, I shouldn't be thinking this, the mind responds with more of it. Instead, allow the thought to be there without engaging it. Watch it like you would watch a cloud passing across the sky. You're not trying to erase it, you're allowing it to move naturally. Detachment is not denial, it's the choice not to feed the cycle. At night, the mind becomes more vulnerable to looping, because the distractions of the day are gone. Silence amplifies what you haven't resolved. That's why people often lie awake thinking about the same issues repeatedly. Your mind is trying to find closure it never got. But closure rarely comes from overthinking. It comes from releasing the need to control the past. When you accept that not every question has an immediate answer, and not every problem needs fixing tonight, your mind begins to rest. One practical technique for this is to create a mental boundary before sleep. Give yourself a clear moment to separate the day from the night. You can do this by writing down lingering thoughts or unfinished worries. Put them on paper so your mind knows they've been acknowledged. Then tell yourself, I'll return to these tomorrow if I need to. This communicates to your subconscious that it's safe to rest. Your mind stops recycling the same thoughts because it trusts you've stored them safely outside of it. The brain thrives on patterns, and if you've been looping negative thoughts for years, that pattern feels familiar. The mind equates familiar with safe even when it hurts you. That's why breaking the cycle takes patience. You're teaching your brain that peace is not danger, that silence doesn't mean something's wrong. Each night you interrupt the loop and choose calm instead. You're rewiring your neural pathways. Slowly, peace becomes the new habit. Detaching from negativity also requires forgiveness, especially toward yourself. Many loops are born from guilt. You replay moments you wish you'd handled differently, telling yourself stories of failure or disappointment. But the past cannot be rewritten. It can only be understood. Forgiveness doesn't mean you excuse mistakes. It means you refuse to keep punishing yourself for them. When guilt returns, tell yourself, I've learned from this and I release it now. That's not weakness. That's maturity. The mind only heals when it feels forgiven. Some loops are tied to other people. What they said, what they did, how they made you feel. It's natural to replay interactions that hurt. The problem is that reliving them doesn't change them. You only re-experience the pain. To detach, you must reclaim ownership of your attention. You can't control how others acted, but you can control how long they occupy your thoughts. When your mind drifts to them again, gently say, I choose to let this go. Say it until it becomes natural. You're not pretending it didn't happen. You're choosing peace over repetition. Another type of loop comes from fear of the future. The brain tries to prepare for every possibility by rehearsing scenarios. It believes that if it worries enough, it can prevent pain. But worry doesn't prevent pain. It only creates it early. Detachment here means reminding yourself that uncertainty is not danger. Life unfolds whether you predict it or not. You can prepare without panicking. Replace "what if this goes wrong" with "whatever happens, I'll handle it." That simple shift saves enormous energy. Nighttime is the perfect time to practice this, because it's when your subconscious is most open. As you drift to sleep, your brain transitions from active to receptive states. That's when you can gently guide it toward calm. Play soft affirmations, soothing sounds, or simple phrases that reinforce release. Words like "I am safe," "I am resting," "I am letting go" signal to your subconscious that it's time to stop analyzing and start healing. Over time, your mind learns that nighttime is for restoration, not rumination. You can also use your body to help your mind detach. Loops thrive when your body is tense. Relaxation sends a message of safety to your nervous system, which tells the brain there's no need for defense. Try scanning your body from head to toe before sleep, releasing tension wherever you find it. As your muscles soften, thoughts lose their intensity. The mind follows the body's lead. Some people fear that detaching means not caring, but it's the opposite. Detachment allows you to care in a healthy way. It means you can think about something without being consumed by it. You can face challenges without losing peace. You're not abandoning responsibility. You're reclaiming energy. You're saying, I can't control everything, but I can control my focus. That control is freedom. Every negative loop has a trigger. It could be a word, a smell, a time of day, or even silence. Once you identify your triggers, you can prepare for them. Instead of letting them drag you into old stories, use them as reminders to return to calm. For example, if you notice that your mind starts looping when you lie in bed, make that the moment you start deep breathing, or repeat grounding phrases. Each time you do this, you're teaching your brain a new association. Rest equals release. Over time, detachment becomes automatic. You'll notice that thoughts that once hooked you now pass more easily. You'll still have emotions, but they'll move through you instead of staying stuck. That's how you conserve energy. Not by suppressing feelings, but by allowing them to complete their natural course. When you wake up after a night of true detachment, the difference is remarkable. You feel lighter, clearer, and calm. The same situations that once felt overwhelming now seem manageable. That's because you've reclaimed the energy that looping thoughts used to steal. You're no longer starting each day from a deficit. You're starting from strength. It's important to be patient with this process. The mind doesn't unlearn habits overnight. Some nights will feel peaceful. Others will feel restless. Don't see that as failure. Each attempt weakens the old pattern. What matters most is consistency. Every time you interrupt a loop, you're strengthening a new identity, one that values calm over chaos. If you want to deepen this practice, create a nightly ritual of release. Spend a few minutes acknowledging what went well that day and what still lingers on your mind. Then visualize placing all your worries in a box, closing it gently, and setting it aside until morning. Tell yourself, I deserve rest. It may sound simple, but rituals like this train your subconscious to separate daytime action
from nighttime restoration. There's also power in gratitude when it comes to breaking loops. Negative thinking thrives on what's missing. Gratitude focuses on what's present. Each night, find one thing to appreciate, not to distract yourself, but to remind your mind that good still exists. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it expands perspective. The more you practice it, the less space negativity has to dominate. You'll also find that when you detach regularly, your emotional resilience grows. Situations that once triggered days of overthinking will barely last an hour. You'll recover faster because your mind knows it doesn't need to dwell. Detachment gives you back time and mental clarity. You stop reacting from emotion and start responding from awareness. People who master detachment don't live emotionless lives. They live balanced ones. They know when to engage and when to step back. They understand that not every thought deserves attention, not every emotion deserves analysis, and not every problem deserves the night. That wisdom frees them from exhaustion. As you continue this practice, you may notice something beautiful. Peace becomes your default. Your nights turn from restless analysis to genuine recovery. You start waking up with ideas, energy, and focus. That's because your subconscious, once trapped in cycles of tension, is now using its energy for creativity and healing. Detaching from negative loops doesn't make life perfect. It makes life livable. It gives you back the quiet power to choose where your attention goes. Every thought you release is a piece of energy returned to you, and that energy becomes fuel for joy, for productivity, for growth. So tonight, when you feel your mind circling again, pause, take a breath, remind yourself that you've already lived this thought once. There's no need to live it again. Choose peace over repetition. Choose rest over reaction. And as you drift to sleep, know that every time you detach, you're reclaiming another part of your strength. This is how you stop draining yourself without realizing it. This is how you train your mind to rest as deeply as your body. It's not about force, it's about awareness. When you master that awareness, your nights become healing, your mornings become brighter, and your life begins to flow with calm power. That's what happens when you finally detach from the loops that never deserved your energy in the first.
Chapter 6. Train your inner voice to speak calm and truth. Every person lives with a voice inside their head. It's the one that narrates your day, interprets your choices, and comments on everything you do. For most people, that voice is not kind. It criticizes, doubts, and compares. It tells you what might go wrong, and reminds you of everything that has gone wrong. It doesn't rest, and over time, it shapes how you see yourself and how you move through life. The quality of that inner voice determines the quality of your peace. When the voice is harsh, life feels heavy. When the voice is calm and honest, even difficult days feel manageable. Training that inner voice to speak with calm and truth is one of the most important forms of mental growth a person can pursue. The voice in your head didn't appear out of nowhere. It's a reflection of everything you've heard, experienced, and believed since childhood. Every piece of criticism, every moment of approval, every word that carried emotion has left its mark. Over time, you started repeating those messages to yourself. If you were often told to be careful, your inner voice learned caution. If you were often criticized, your inner voice learned to be harsh. The problem isn't that you have an inner voice, it's that most people never question where it learned to speak the way it does. The goal is not to silence it, but to retrain it, to turn it into an ally instead of an enemy. To begin that process, you must first listen. Pay attention to what your inner voice says throughout the day. Notice the tone. Is it supportive or judgmental? Does it help you think clearly or make you anxious? You might realize that it speaks to you in ways you'd never speak to someone you care about. That awareness is the first step. You can't change what you don't observe. Listening to your inner dialogue without judgment allows you to see how much of it is based on old programming, not truth. Once you become aware, start separating facts from stories. The inner voice often takes an event and turns it into a false conclusion. You make one mistake, and the voice says, "You always mess things up." You feel nervous about something new and it says, "You're not capable of this." Those are not facts, they're interpretations. Calm begins when you stop accepting every thought as truth. You can respond to those false statements with logic. I made one mistake, but I'm learning. I feel nervous because it's new, not because I'm incapable. This practice teaches your brain to pause before believing everything it hears. Your inner voice learns from repetition. Every time you choose to respond with truth instead of fear, you're training it. Think of it like teaching a child to speak differently. It takes time and patience. You can't shout at it or ignore it. You have to model the behavior you want it to learn. When the voice says, "You're behind," answer with calm honesty, "I'm moving at the pace that's right for me." When it says, "You failed," remind it, "I tried and that's part of progress." The more consistent you are, the faster it learns a new tone. At night, this training becomes even more powerful. When your body rests, your subconscious becomes more receptive. The final thoughts you entertain before sleep carry deep influence. That's when you can speak directly to your inner voice. Instead of reviewing everything that went wrong, review what went right. Tell yourself what you're proud of. Speak words of understanding instead of judgment. I did my best with what I knew today. I can learn from what didn't work. I'm still growing. These aren't empty affirmations. They're gentle truth. Your mind listens, and over time, those truths replace the old criticism that once filled your nights. To train your inner voice to speak calm and truth, you must remove the influence of noise around you. The world constantly floods your mind with opinions, fears, and comparisons. If you don't protect your mental space, your inner voice will simply echo that chaos. Limit the input that feeds insecurity. Spend time in silence. Allow moments in your day without distraction. The more silence you create, the clearer your own voice becomes. It's in that quiet that truth surfaces, not the world's truth, but yours. Your inner voice also mirrors your self-perception. If you see yourself as someone always on the verge of failure, your inner voice will constantly warn and criticize. But if you see yourself as someone capable and growing, your inner voice starts to reflect encouragement. This is why self-respect matters so deep. You cannot have a kind inner voice if you constantly disrespect yourself through negative self-talk or overcommitment. Boundaries are not just about protecting time, they're about protecting peace. When you stop allowing situations that drain you, your inner dialogue naturally softens. It's also helpful to understand that calm doesn't mean silence. A calm inner voice still gives feedback. It just does it with kindness. For example, instead of saying, "You're lazy," it says, "You need rest." Instead of, "You can't do this," it says, "You'll need more preparation." Calm and truth work together. Truth without calm becomes harsh. Calm without truth becomes avoidance. You need both. When your inner voice learns that balance, it becomes your guide instead of your critic. The process of retraining this voice requires consistency more than intensity. You won't wake up one morning and find it completely transformed. It changes gradually through repeated experiences of self-awareness and compassion. Each time you catch a harsh thought and replace it with a truthful one, you're rewiring your brain. The neural pathways that used to carry self-doubt weaken, while those carrying calm and confidence strengthen. This is real psychological change, not abstract motivation. You can accelerate this growth through intentional practices. One effective approach is journaling. Each night, write down some of the negative things your inner voice said during the day. Then next to each one, write a truthful, calm response. This isn't about forced positivity. It's about realism. If your mind says, "I'll never succeed," you might write, "Success takes time.
and I'm on the path. If it says people don't care about me, respond, some do, and I'll keep nurturing those connections. By doing this regularly, you're giving your brain evidence that truth exists alongside fear. Another helpful practice is using your own name in self-talk. Studies show that addressing yourself by name activates a more rational part of the brain. When you say, "You've got this, Alex," instead of, "I can't do this," it creates emotional distance from the panic and invites logic. This technique reminds you that you can coach yourself with compassion, the same way you'd speak to a friend. The tone of your inner voice also depends on how you treat your physical body. When you're sleep-deprived, malnourished, or constantly tense, your mind interprets that as danger and amplifies negative thoughts. Calmness becomes impossible. Taking care of your body, sleeping enough, eating mindfully, moving regularly, sends messages of safety to the brain. When the body feels safe, the inner voice calms naturally. During stressful moments, you can train your inner voice in real time. Instead of spiraling into self-criticism, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, what is true right now? Most of the time the truth is simple. You're safe, you're learning, and this moment will pass. Bringing your focus back to the present interrupts the stories your inner voice invents. It replaces panic with perspective. You'll notice that as your inner voice becomes calmer, you start handling challenges differently. You think clearer, communicate better, and make decisions without rushing. You stop looking for validation because you already have it within. That inner stability becomes a quiet strength that others can feel. People begin to trust your energy because it's steady. Calmness is not weakness, it's control without tension. There's another layer to this process that few talk about: compassion for the voice itself. Remember that your inner critic once existed to protect you. It tried to keep you safe from rejection, failure, or embarrassment. It developed harshness because it believed that by pointing out your flaws, it could help you avoid pain. You don't need to destroy that voice, you need to teach it a new role. Thank it for its effort, then guide it toward a healthier tone. Say to yourself, "I appreciate your concern, but I'm safe now." We don't need fear to stay alert anymore. This approach transforms resistance into cooperation. Over time, your mind learns that calm truth is more effective than panic. You start trusting your thoughts again because they're no longer distorted by fear. You no longer waste energy second-guessing yourself. You begin to live with quiet confidence, not loud, not forced, but steady and real. At night when you lie down, use those last few moments to reinforce this relationship. Close your eyes and speak softly within. "I'm proud of how far I've come. I trust myself more each day. I choose calm over confusion." The mind absorbs these statements deeply in the stillness of night. Your subconscious begins to mirror that tone back to you in the form of peace-filled dreams and easier mornings. You may notice that this practice starts affecting how you speak to others too. The way you communicate externally mirrors how you communicate internally. When your self-talk becomes patient, your interactions become more patient. When your inner voice is grounded in truth, you stop reacting impulsively. You become the calm in the room instead of the chaos. This transformation doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. Doubt will still whisper, but it will no longer dominate. You'll hear it, acknowledge it, and then let your trained voice respond. "Thank you for your concern, but we're okay." That's mastery, not the absence of fear, but the ability to meet it with clarity. Training your inner voice is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's teaching your mind to become your partner instead of your opponent. When that shift happens, you stop being at war with yourself. Every decision becomes easier because you're not battling internal resistance. You sleep better, think better, and live better. The greatest peace a person can achieve is the peace that comes from within, not because life got easier, but because their inner voice learned to speak with calm and truth. That's what gives you the strength to face each day with steady confidence. The outside world can be unpredictable, but when the voice inside you is grounded, you can walk through anything with grace. And that is the power of a trained mind. Not loud, not dramatic, just calm, honest, and deeply unshakable.
Chapter 7. Allow your mind to heal itself through restful focus. The human mind is capable of remarkable healing, but most people never give it the space to recover. They rush from one thought to the next, from one worry to another, never realizing that their brain and emotions need time to breathe just as much as their body does. The mind is not a machine. It doesn't grow stronger by constant use. It grows stronger by balance. Moments of effort followed by moments of stillness. Restful focus is the state where you stop forcing clarity and allow it to return naturally. It's when you stop trying to fix everything at once and instead let your inner systems reset themselves. When you learn to live with restful focus, your mind begins to heal on its own. Healing doesn't mean forgetting or escaping. It means restoring balance where chaos has lived for too long. Every stress, every disappointment, every unresolved emotion leaves a trace in the nervous system. Over time, those traces build up and start showing in your mood, your patience, and your ability to think clearly. That's why, even after good sleep, some people still wake up tired. Their mind has never truly rested. True rest is not about closing your eyes. It's about quieting the noise inside your head long enough for the brain to process what it needs to. Your mind has a natural rhythm. It's designed to move between activity and restoration. When you focus intensely during the day, your brain releases chemicals that help you concentrate and perform. But when you never allow it to return to calm, those same chemicals become toxins that create tension and fatigue. Restful focus is the conscious decision to slow down, not because you're weak or lazy, but because you understand how growth works. A rested mind doesn't lose productivity, it multiplies it. It thinks better, feels deeper, and responds with clarity instead of reaction. One of the greatest misunderstandings about healing is that it requires effort. You don't have to chase healing, you have to create the conditions for it. Just as the body knows how to close a wound when you stop touching it, the mind knows how to restore balance when you stop interrupting it. That's what restful focus gives you. A pause from interference. It's not about shutting out the world, it's about being present without resistance. When you stop forcing, the mind begins to align itself. Think about how you treat a muscle injury. You don't keep using it and expect it to get better. You rest it, you stretch gently, and you give it time to rebuild strength. The same principle applies to the mind. The constant strain of multitasking, worry, and digital stimulation keeps it inflamed. The healing begins when you decide to step out of that loop and bring your attention back to simplicity. Restful focus means choosing one thing at a time, one thought, one breath, one moment, and giving it your full awareness. In that simplicity, healing begins quietly. When you focus calmly on your breath, on a sound, or even on a gentle phrase, your nervous system starts to release tension. Your heartbeat steadies, your brain waves slow, and your body sends a signal of safety to the mind. That signal tells your inner systems that it's time to repair. This is not a mystical process, it's physiology. The brain needs safety to heal. When you're constantly on edge, your body stays in survival mode, which blocks emotional recovery. But when you create an environment of calm focus, you activate the part of your brain responsible for healing, memory consolidation, and emotional balance. The practice of restful focus is simple but powerful. It starts with attention. Notice where your thoughts are when you lie down to rest. Are you replaying the day? Are you planning tomorrow? Are you worrying about what others think? That awareness is the beginning of release. You can't redirect what you don't see. Once you notice the noise, shift your focus gently towards something grounding, your breathing, the sensation of lying down, or the sound of your surroundings. Keep your attention soft, not forced. Each time your mind wanders, bring it back with patience. That act of returning, again and again, is how you train your brain to relax without losing awareness. Restful focus is not about emptying your mind, it's about guiding it. You give it a single point of calm to rest upon, so it doesn't scatter. Over time your mind learns that it's safe to slow down. When that happens, old thoughts begin to surface, memories, emotions, unfinished experiences. This is not a setback, it's part of the healing. The mind finally feels safe enough to release what it's been holding. Instead of running from those feelings, allow them to pass through without judgment. Healing often looks like gentle discomfort before it becomes peace. During this process, it's important to remember that focus is not control. You can't force calmness any more than you can force sleep. The more you demand stillness, the more restless the mind becomes. Restful focus is softer. It's like guiding a child's attention with kindness. You lead gently, and when it wanders, you simply bring it back without anger. Over time, this gentleness becomes your new mental habit. You start treating your thoughts with compassion instead of frustration. As your mind learns to rest in this way, your emotional state begins to shift. You start noticing that problems that once felt overwhelming now feel lighter. The reason is simple: your mind is no longer reacting from exhaustion. It's responding from balance. You can think clearly because you've given your brain time to process. This is what mental healing feels like, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of clarity. Your nights become the most powerful time for this transformation. When you prepare for sleep, resist the urge to fill that space with screens, conversations, or mental to-do lists. Give your mind permission to slow down. Dim the lights, breathe deeply, and bring your awareness to your body. Feel your heartbeat, your breath, the rise and fall of your chest. This anchors you in the present. When the body feels grounded, the mind begins to follow. Over time, this nightly ritual creates an association between calm awareness and rest. Your brain learns that nighttime is a space of restoration, not worry. There's a reason why the greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders valued quiet reflection. They understood that creativity and insight are products of a rested mind. When you live in constant noise, you can't hear your intuition. But when you practice restful focus, new ideas begin to surface effortlessly. You'll start waking up with solutions that seemed impossible the night before. That's your subconscious doing its work. When you rest, your mind organizes information, connects patterns, and clears mental clutter. It's one of the most natural and powerful healing processes available to you. Healing through restful focus also means learning to trust your inner rhythm. Some days your mind will feel sharp and energetic. Other days it will crave stillness. Don't fight those fluctuations. They're not signs of weakness, they're signs of balance. Just as your body alternates between activity and recovery, your mind does the same. Forcing yourself to be productive when your brain needs rest only delays progress. Real growth happens when you honor your cycles instead of resisting them. You can also practice restful focus during the day. Take short pauses between tasks. Step away from your desk, look out the window, and breathe slowly. Even a minute of conscious awareness resets your nervous system. You don't need long meditations or perfect silence. You just need moments of deliberate stillness. Each one is like a small reset button for your mind. When you string enough of those moments together, you end the day with energy instead of depletion. There's another layer to this healing: forgiveness of your own pace. Many people carry tension because they believe they should be further ahead, that rest is wasted time. That belief keeps them in constant struggle. But rest is not the opposite of progress, it's part of it. A well-rested mind can accomplish in 1 hour what a tired mind struggles to do in 3.
The energy you save by allowing yourself to rest becomes fuel for focus and creativity later. Restful focus also teaches emotional regulation. When you practice being present without judgment, you develop the ability to stay grounded even during stress. You stop reacting impulsively. You begin to notice emotions as signals instead of threats. This awareness creates distance between you and your thoughts, and in that space, healing happens. You stop identifying with every feeling as truth. You realize that emotions come and go, but peace remains available underneath. At its deepest level, restful focus reconnects you with yourself. The constant distractions of modern life pull your attention outward to tasks, screens, and expectations. But when you turn inward, you meet the part of yourself that's always been calm. It's the part that doesn't panic, that doesn't rush. It's quiet, steady, and wise. The more time you spend in that inner stillness, the more you realize it's always been there waiting for you. You just needed to slow down long enough to hear it. Each night you practice this, your mind grows more familiar with peace. Your thoughts stop racing because they know they'll have their turn to be heard. Your emotions stop shouting because they know they'll be felt. Your dreams become lighter, your sleep deeper. You begin waking up not just rested, but emotionally light. That's how you know healing is happening. Not because everything is perfect, but because you feel whole even when things aren't. The beauty of this process is that it requires no special tools, no expensive programs, just awareness and patience. You already have everything you need to allow your mind to heal. The ability to breathe, to focus gently, to rest intentionally. Every night you give yourself this time, you're not just recovering from the day, you're rebuilding yourself for the future. Eventually, restful focus becomes second nature. You no longer need to force calmness. It arises naturally when you slow down. You begin to move through life with more ease. Challenges still come, but you face them from stability rather than chaos. You think clearer, sleep deeper, and carry yourself with quiet confidence. That's the result of a healed mind. Not loud, not dramatic, but deeply grounded and unshakable. When you allow your mind to heal itself through restful focus, you rediscover your natural rhythm, one of balance, peace, and quiet strength. It's not something you create, it's something you return to. The calm you seek has always been inside you, waiting for you to stop running long enough to feel it. Once you experience that state, you'll never again confuse exhaustion with effort or silence with emptiness. You'll know that true power is not in constant doing, but in knowing when to be still and let your mind heal you from within.
Chapter 8. Reset your emotional patterns while drifting into deep sleep. Every emotion you feel leaves a small imprint on your nervous system. Over time, those imprints form patterns, the ways you react, the triggers that set you off, and the moods that seem to repeat no matter how hard you try to change. These emotional patterns are like grooves in the mind, created through repetition and memory. You might not notice them consciously, but they shape your decisions, your relationships, and even how you see yourself. The good news is that your emotional patterns are not permanent. They can be reset. The most natural time for this reset to happen is while you sleep. When your conscious resistance fades and your subconscious becomes most receptive to change. Sleep is not just a physical necessity, it's an emotional reset mechanism. Every night as you drift into deep sleep, your brain begins processing everything that happened during the day. It sorts, organizes, and releases. This is your body's built-in way of healing the mind. When you sleep in emotional chaos, your brain struggles to complete that process. But when you enter sleep with the intention to reset, your subconscious begins reprogramming your emotional responses, creating new associations, and letting go of unnecessary tension. That's the essence of emotional renewal, giving your mind permission to let go of what it no longer needs to hold. Before you can reset,
you must recognize what needs to change. Pay attention to the emotional loops that keep repeating in your life. Do you often feel anxious even when things are fine? Do you get angry easily over small inconveniences? Do you feel numb when you wish you could feel joy? These are signs of stuck emotional patterns. They aren't who you are, they're habits of feeling. You learned them through experience, from your upbringing, from pain, from repetition. The mind keeps recreating them because it thinks they keep you safe. The process of resetting begins by showing your subconscious that peace is not danger and that calmness is safe to feel again. The transition between wakefulness and sleep is a doorway, a powerful moment where your conscious mind begins to fade and your subconscious takes over. That moment is where you can plant new emotional instruction. Instead of falling asleep replaying arguments or unfinished worries, begin introducing feelings of safety and gratitude. You can do this through words, images, or even breath. Say to yourself quietly, I am safe now, today is complete. I am open to peace. These simple phrases act like passwords to your subconscious. They signal that it's time to clear the clutter and make space for renewal. Your emotional patterns are stored not just in your mind, but also in your body. Every unresolved emotion leaves a physical trace. A knot in your stomach, tightness in your chest, heaviness in your shoulders. As you prepare for sleep, start by relaxing your body deliberately. Lie down and scan yourself from head to toe. Wherever you feel tension, breathe into that space and release. Tell your body, it's okay to relax now. That message travels directly to your emotional center. The body and mind communicate constantly. When one softens, the other follows. Once your body is calm, shift your focus to the emotions that need resetting. Choose one that's been dominant lately, maybe frustration, fear, or sadness. Don't fight it, acknowledge it. Notice where you feel it in your body. Instead of judging it, approach it with curiosity. Ask yourself silently, what are you trying to tell me? Most emotions are not enemies, they are messages that have been misunderstood. When you listen without resistance, they lose their intensity. That's when your subconscious begins to rewrite the association, from pain to understanding, from resistance to release. As you drift deeper into rest, your brain's electrical activity slows down. This is when the subconscious becomes most active, reorganizing emotional memories and rebalancing hormones linked to mood. You can support this natural healing process by maintaining a calm internal environment. Avoid harsh stimulation before bed. Dim the lights, lower the volume of your surroundings, and disconnect from emotional triggers like news or social media. Those inputs keep your emotional patterns agitated. Give your mind silence, and it will start to repair itself. One of the most effective ways to reset your emotional patterns during sleep is through repetition of emotional intention. Before bed, decide how you want to feel, not what you want to achieve. For example, instead of thinking, I want to stop feeling anxious, think, I want to feel calm. Instead of I don't want to be sad, choose, I want to feel light. The subconscious doesn't process negatives, it responds to the emotion behind the statement. When you feed it peaceful, clear intentions, it begins constructing emotional pathways that match them. Over time, those pathways become your new default responses. You can strengthen this process through guided audio or soothing affirmations that play as you fall asleep. The words you hear in that half-conscious state seep into your subconscious effortlessly. Choose recordings that speak gently, focusing on healing, peace, and self-worth. The tone matters more than the language. Your subconscious responds to emotion first. A calm, warm voice has a direct effect on the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation. As you listen, you're teaching your nervous system what peace sounds and feels like. There's a subtle art to resetting emotions.
It's not about force or denial. Trying to suppress emotion only buries it deeper. Real resetting happens through allowance. When you accept an emotion fully, it runs its natural course and leaves space for new ones to emerge. Think of it like emotional digestion. The mind needs to process feelings instead of storing them. Sleep provides the time and safety for that digestion to happen. Your role is to make sure you go to bed emotionally unclogged, not by having all the answers, but by choosing to release control. You can also use visualization to assist in this nightly reset. As you close your eyes, imagine yourself surrounded by a gentle, soft light. See that light as calm energy washing through you, clearing out heavy emotions from the day. Picture the worries, regrets, and fears dissolving as if they're being carried away by the night. Visualization helps because the brain reacts to imagery as if it's real. When you visualize healing, your body produces the same chemicals it would if healing were physically happening. Over time, this becomes a nightly emotional cleanse. During sleep, the brain consolidates memory and emotion. It decides what to keep and what to release. If you fall asleep filled with resentment or anxiety, your brain strengthens those emotional circuits. But if you enter sleep with calm and gratitude, it strengthens peace instead. That's why your pre-sleep emotions are so important. They set the tone for your subconscious work overnight. You're not just resting, you're programming. You're telling your mind what kind of emotional reality you want to wake up into. Sometimes deep emotional patterns resist change because they are tied to identity. You might have unconsciously defined yourself through certain feelings. I'm the anxious one, or I'm the one who always gets hurt. Resetting those patterns requires redefining who you are. Begin to affirm a new identity in gentle, believable terms. Say to yourself, I'm learning to be peaceful. I'm becoming emotionally balanced. I'm open to feeling safe. These phrases bridge the gap between your current state and the one you're growing into. They give your subconscious a direction to follow. Over time, as you repeat these nightly rituals, you'll notice subtle shifts. You'll wake up lighter, with fewer emotional hangovers from the previous day. You'll find that your reactions to situations begin to change. You pause instead of explode. You reflect instead of retreat. That's the sign that your emotional programming is changing. The subconscious works quietly, but its results are visible in how you feel and behave. Resetting emotional patterns also involves creating new sensory anchors for peace. Your mind connects emotions with sensation. If you always experience anxiety with tightness in your chest, teach your body new sensations linked to calm. Try deep breathing that expands your chest in comfort instead of constriction. Use soothing scents like lavender or gentle sounds that you associate with safety. When your brain pairs those sensations with relaxation, it begins to override the old emotional patterns automatically. This process of emotional resetting is not about perfection, it's about progress. Some nights will feel easier, others more restless. Don't measure success by how fast it happens. Measure it by how consistent you are in showing up for your healing. Every time you choose to enter sleep with awareness, you're telling your subconscious that growth is your priority. The more consistent that message, the stronger it becomes. Another important element of emotional resetting is self-compassion. Many people judge themselves harshly for their emotional reactions. They feel weak for feeling sad or guilty for feeling angry. But emotions are not moral failures, they're signals. When you stop punishing yourself for feeling, your mind starts to relax. It realizes it doesn't have to protect you from your own emotions anymore. That's when real transformation begins. Your subconscious is like fertile soil. Whatever emotional seeds you plant before sleep grows silently overnight. If you plant fear, fear multiplies. If you plant peace, peace expands. Each night gives you a new chance to plant wisely. Choose thoughts that bring calm. Choose gratitude for the day instead of regret. Choose hope for tomorrow instead of fear. Over time, those choices compound into emotional freedom. As you drift into deep sleep, trust that your mind is doing what it's built to do: heal. You don't need to force it, just stay open. Let the day fade without holding onto its edges. Feel your breath slowing, your thoughts softening, your body sinking deeper into safety. That's your cue that the healing process has begun. During those hours of rest, your subconscious cleans out the emotional residue you no longer need. When you wake up, you may not remember the process, but you'll feel the result: clarity, lightness, and emotional balance. The more you practice this, the less reactive you become in your daily life. You stop repeating emotional stories because your mind no longer clings to them. You stop living from the past and start responding from the present. That's the essence of emotional resetting, living free from outdated feelings that once defined you. Every night offers you a quiet chance to start again. You don't need special conditions or perfect peace. You just need willingness. The mind heals best when you trust it to. As you lie down tonight, remind yourself that rest is not just for your body, it's the gateway to emotional renewal. You are not broken, you are rebalancing. And with each night of mindful sleep, you are teaching your mind how to let go, reset, and wake up aligned with the peace you've always deserved.
Chapter 9. Replace silent self-doubt with powerful nightly affirmations. Every person carries two voices inside them, one that believes in what they can do and another that doubts it. The first voice is quiet, grounded, and honest. The second one is loud, familiar, and filled with hesitation. That voice of self-doubt doesn't appear overnight. It forms over years of experiences, criticism from others, failures you didn't expect, moments where you felt unseen or not enough. Slowly, that doubt becomes a background noise in your mind, whispering reasons you shouldn't try, that you're too late, too unprepared, or too small. And the tragedy is, most people fall asleep listening to that voice, unknowingly reinforcing it night after night. But the truth is this: the same way you learn to doubt yourself, you can unlearn it. You can replace that inner noise with words that lift you instead of limit you. The key lies in using the quiet hours of the night, when the mind is most open and the body most still, to reprogram what you believe about yourself. Nighttime is powerful because it's when your conscious defenses begin to fade. During the day, you're busy, thinking, responding, reacting. But at night, the mind slows down, the filters weaken, and the subconscious begins to listen more deeply. This is the ideal time to plant new thoughts that support your growth. The subconscious doesn't care if something is true or false. It believes what it hears most often and most emotionally. That's why doubt feels so real. You've heard it repeatedly. But if you start feeding your mind a new story before sleep, it begins to rebuild your belief system from the inside out. Self-doubt isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it hides in small thoughts. I'll never get it right. I'm not ready yet. People like me don't succeed. It shows up quietly in hesitation, in procrastination, in the way you downplay your own ideas. You may not even realize how often you agree with those limiting thoughts. Every time you accept them without challenge, they grow stronger. That's why affirmation is not about wishful thinking. It's about mental correction. You're retraining the part of your mind that forgot your potential. Replacing self-doubt with powerful nightly affirmations begins with awareness. You can't heal what you ignore. Notice the patterns of doubt that come up during your day. Maybe it's the fear of making mistakes or the habit of expecting rejection. Write those thoughts down, not to dwell on them, but to expose them. Once you bring them to light, you can begin replacing them with truth. For every limiting thought, there's a counter-belief waiting to be affirmed. I always fail becomes I'm learning something valuable each time. I'm not good enough becomes I'm growing into my strength. The words you use determine the direction your mind takes. Before you go to sleep, create an intentional space for these affirmations. Dim the lights, put away distractions, and slow your breathing. Your goal is to enter a calm, receptive state. When the body relaxes, the subconscious listens more closely. Speak your affirmations softly, either out loud or in your mind. Don't rush them. Feel the meaning of every word. I am worthy of peace. I have what it takes to grow. I deserve good things. I release all fear of failure. These are not just sentences, they're psychological cues that tell your brain what to focus on while you sleep. What makes nightly affirmations powerful isn't just repetition, but emotion. You must feel the truth behind your words, even slightly. The subconscious learns through emotion. When you speak affirmations with warmth, belief begins to grow. You don't have to fake confidence, you just need to speak with sincerity. Even if you only believe 5% of it, that's enough to start. The next night, it becomes 10%. The mind changes gradually, like water shaping rock, steady, gentle, and consistent. As you practice this each night, notice how your thoughts begin to shift during the day. Self-doubt thrives in silence, but once you start speaking new truths, it loses its grip. You'll begin to catch the old voice trying to interfere. You can't do this, and you'll naturally respond, yes, I can handle it. That's a sign your subconscious is listening. You've started building a new mental reflex, one that protects your peace instead of sabotaging it. For your affirmations to work deeply, they must be personal and believable. Don't use words that feel foreign or exaggerate. If you tell yourself, I'm unstoppable, but your heart doesn't buy it, your mind rejects it. Start with statements that feel like gentle truths. I'm learning to trust myself. I'm beginning to see my value. Each day, I'm getting stronger. These phrases create a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Once that bridge feels steady, you can build stronger affirmations on top of it. It's also important to include gratitude in your nightly affirmation. Gratitude reinforces abundance. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's growing. When you say, I'm thankful for my progress, you train your mind to look for evidence of success. When you say, I appreciate who I'm becoming, you dissolve comparison and strengthen self-acceptance. Gratitude is the emotional glue that holds new beliefs together. It reminds the subconscious that good things already exist and more are on the way. If you want to deepen the process, combine your affirmations with visualization. As you speak each statement, picture it as already real. When you say, I'm confident in my abilities, imagine yourself walking into situations with calm certainty. When you say, I'm attracting opportunities, imagine the feeling of excitement when they appear. The mind responds powerfully to images. The clearer you can visualize the reality you want, the faster your subconscious begins to align with it. You can also record your affirmations in your own voice and play them softly as you fall asleep. Hearing your own voice speak truth has a profound effect on your subconscious because it recognizes it as familiar authority. Over time, it begins to accept those words as self-evident facts. This technique works especially well for people whose minds wander easily. It allows the affirmations to work in the background, even as you drift into sleep. Replacing silent self-doubt doesn't mean you'll never feel uncertain again. It means you'll stop believing uncertainty as truth. Doubt will still appear, but you'll recognize it as an old pattern, not your identity. You'll learn to respond to it with curiosity instead of fear. Why do I feel this doubt right now? Is this thought helping me grow? By asking questions, you weaken the automatic nature of doubt. The more awareness you bring, the less control it has. This practice of nightly affirmation also heals emotional wounds from the past. Many people carry old labels,
things they were told as children, moments that made them feel unworthy. Those words left invisible scars that still influence how they think today. Affirmations act like new emotional language, teaching your mind to speak to itself differently. Each time you say, "I'm enough as I am," you're writing over those old scripts. You're giving your younger self the reassurance they never received. That's not fantasy, that's reconditioning. To make this process even more effective, align your affirmations with action. Words alone can open the door, but action walks you through it. If you affirm that you're capable, take small steps that prove it. Each success, no matter how small, strengthens belief. The subconscious loves evidence. When it sees your affirmations matching your behavior, it adopts them fast. For example, if you tell yourself, "I'm disciplined," follow it with one act of discipline, even something simple like organizing your space or finishing a task. The brain then links the affirmation to real experience, and the belief solidifies. As days turn into weeks, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. The energy you carry changes. People respond to you differently, because confidence has a quiet presence that can't be faked. You begin to trust your timing instead of rushing. You take risks with calm instead of fear. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start asking, "What's the best way to do it?" That's the moment you realize your affirmations are no longer just words. They've become part of who you are. When you reach this point, your nights transform from restless thinking to peaceful programming. You'll notice that as soon as your head touches the pillow, your mind automatically begins replaying the affirmations you've practiced. That's when you know your subconscious has adopted them as true. It's now working for you, building confidence and stability even while you sleep. Consistency is what makes this work last. Some nights you'll feel inspired and connected to your affirmations. Other nights you'll feel tired or distracted. Do it anyway. Repetition creates transformation, not perfection. Each night you repeat your affirmations, you strengthen a new mental network. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, something always is. The subconscious rewires quietly, one thought at a time. There's deep psychological power in affirming yourself before sleep, because it's the last message your brain receives before resting. Whatever you fall asleep thinking about tends to replay through your dreams and influences your mood upon waking. That's why replacing self-doubt at night has exponential impact. You're not just improving your mindset, you're altering the emotional foundation of your days. With time, you'll notice mornings feel different. You'll wake up lighter, more focused, and less reactive. Instead of beginning the day doubting what could go wrong, you'll begin it expecting things to go right. That shift doesn't come from luck. It comes from the nightly work of programming your mind toward possibility instead of fear. You'll realize that you no longer need external validation to believe in yourself. The voice of doubt that once dominated your nights becomes faint background noise, replaced by steady words of self-trust. You'll start to feel grounded even when things go wrong. That's the real power of affirmations. They don't erase challenges, they change how you face them. You'll handle mistakes with composure, because your inner voice no longer sees them as proof of failure. You'll feel safe within yourself, because you've built a foundation of belief that can't be shaken by temporary setbacks. Replacing silent self-doubt with powerful nightly affirmations isn't just about motivation. It's about rewiring your relationship with yourself. It's teaching your mind that you are not your fears, not your past, not your temporary emotions. You are what you repeatedly tell yourself you are. And every night gives you another chance to tell a better story. So as you lie down tonight, pause before closing your eyes, take a deep breath, release the weight of the day, and speak quietly to yourself. Tell your mind, I'm proud of how far I've come. I'm capable of creating peace and success. I'm grateful for another chance to grow. Speak it softly, without strain, like a friend reminding you of what's true. Feel the calm rise as the words settle in, and as you drift into sleep, know that every time you replace self-doubt with truth, you're reshaping your future from the inside, not with effort, but with faith, consistency, and the quiet power of belief.
Chapter 10. Wake each day carrying the calm you created overnight. There is a special kind of peace that comes when you wake in the morning and realize your mind is not racing, your heart is not tense, and your spirit feels light. It's the peace that doesn't depend on perfect circumstances or outside approval. It's the calm you built within yourself the night before. Most people wake up already behind. The moment their eyes open, their mind jumps ahead to worries, lists, and unfinished business. They don't realize that they're carrying the stress of yesterday into the new day before it even begins. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you learn to end your nights in calm, you begin to start your mornings from strength. You don't wake to catch up, you wake to move forward with balance. Calm is not the absence of responsibility or emotion. It's the state of being fully present, fully grounded, and aware of your power to choose your response to life. The peace you create before sleep is the foundation for that awareness. When your nights are filled with stillness and alignment, your mornings become clear. The mind that rested in peace continues that pattern as it awakens. The energy you sleep with is the energy you wake with. That is why the hours before and after sleep are sacred. They shape how you experience the world. When you go to bed agitated, your body doesn't truly rest. The muscles may relax, but your nervous system remains alert. You wake feeling tired, even after a full night's sleep. But when you go to bed with peace in your heart, the body enters deeper rest, the brain resets, and you wake naturally refreshed. This calm is not accidental, it's trained. It's the result of deliberate practice, choosing what to think about before sleep, how to breathe, what to feel, and what to release. You train yourself to close each day cleanly, so you can open each morning with clarity. The transition from sleep to wakefulness is delicate. The mind moves from the quiet subconscious back to full consciousness, carrying with it whatever emotion you left there the night before. If you fell asleep anxious, the first feeling you'll meet upon waking is tension. But if you fell asleep calm, the first feeling will be stability. That's why protecting your mornings begins the night before. Your sleep becomes the bridge between the person you were and the person you are becoming. Each morning offers you a new chance to live with the peace you've been building. To carry that calm into your day, you must start with intention. The first few minutes after you wake are the most powerful moments of the entire day. Because your mind is still soft and open, it hasn't yet hardened under the weight of external demands. What you choose to focus on in those minutes determines how your energy unfolds. If you immediately reach for your phone, you give that power away. If you rush into tasks without grounding yourself, you scatter your focus before you even begin. But if you start by honoring the calm you created overnight, you anchor yourself. You're no longer reacting to life, you're directing it. Before getting out of bed, take a few moments to breathe deeply. Feel your body waking up, your chest rising, your heart beating steadily, your mind stretching into awareness. Don't rush this part. Let yourself notice that you are alive, that your heart has given you another chance to move forward. That gratitude alone begins to shape your mindset. Say to yourself quietly, "Today begins from peace." Those 4 words remind your subconscious that calm is your starting point, not something you chase later. Carrying calm into your day is not about avoiding challenges. Life will always present situations that test your patience or stir emotion. The goal is to stay centered even as things move around you. You do this by remembering that calm is a choice, not a reward. You don't wait for the world to be peaceful. You bring peace into the world through your presence. When you wake grounded, you become the stable energy in rooms full of noise. People feel it, and you feel stronger for it. One of the best ways to maintain your calm from night into day is through a morning ritual of alignment. It doesn't have to be long or complicated. It could be as simple as sitting in silence for 2 minutes, stretching while breathing slowly, or writing down one sentence about what matters most today. The purpose of this ritual is not productivity, it's presence. You are reminding your mind that peace is the foundation from which all action flows. When you start from that space, even busy days feel manageable. As you move through your morning, be mindful of what you allow into your mental space. What you read, watch and listen to in those first hours affects your energy more than you realize. If you begin your day consuming conflict, complaints or distraction, your calm starts to leak away. Instead, feed your mind the same way you feed your body, with intention. Listen to something uplifting, read something meaningful, or simply enjoy the quiet. Calm is sustained through conscious choices. The calm you create overnight is not fragile, it's resilient when you learn how to protect it. You protect it through boundaries, saying no when you need to, walking away from negativity, and giving yourself permission to pause. You protect it through self-awareness, noticing when tension starts building and releasing it before it grows. You protect it through self-respect, refusing to let the world dictate your internal state. This protection doesn't isolate you from life, it allows you to participate in it fully, without losing yourself. When you carry calm through your day, something interesting happens. You begin to handle situations that once overwhelmed you with quiet confidence. You stop rushing to fix everything. You start listening more deeply. You speak with intention instead of reaction. You move through your tasks with steady focus, not scattered energy. Calm doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. It gives you control over what you can control, your state of being. If you want to deepen this practice, notice how you transition between activity. Many people lose their calm not because of big problems, but because they never reset between small moments. They go from one task to another without pause, carrying accumulated stress forward. To stay centered, take short breaks to breathe, and return to presence. Each pause reconnects you with the calm you created during sleep. You're reminding your nervous system that peace is always available, even in motion. You'll also find that when you live from this state, your relationships begin to change. The calmer you become, the less reactive you are to other people's moods. You start to respond from empathy instead of ego. Arguments lose their intensity because you no longer need to win them. You choose understanding instead. Calm becomes contagious. Your presence helps others settle without you saying a word. This is how your personal peace begins to affect the world around you. Some days, of course, the calm won't come easily. You'll wake feeling off, your mind racing again. That's normal. No practice eliminates challenge completely. On those mornings, the key is compassion. Don't criticize yourself for losing peace. Gently return to it. Breathe. Slow down. Remind yourself that one restless morning doesn't erase your progress. Calm is not perfection, it's persistent. Every time you return to it, you strengthen it. Over weeks and months, it becomes your natural rhythm. To carry calm throughout the day, keep reconnecting with your senses. When you start feeling overwhelmed, notice what you see, hear and feel. This pulls you out of overthinking and back into the present. Feel the warmth of your hands, the air against your skin, the sound of your breath. The mind can't stay anxious when it's fully present. This simple awareness anchors you in peace no matter where you are. The calm you wake with also shapes how you end your day. When you move through your hours with grounded awareness, you experience less emotional residue. That means when night comes again, your mind doesn't need to work as hard to find rest. The cycle of calm continues. Peaceful nights create peaceful mornings, and peaceful mornings create peaceful nights. Each day builds upon the last, until peace becomes your normal state, not an exception. There's something profoundly beautiful about realizing that you no longer need chaos to feel alive. When calm becomes your baseline, you stop seeking adrenaline through conflict or urgency.
You find fulfillment in clarity instead of drama. You become more intentional with your time and energy because you understand their value. You stop reacting to every noise in the world and start responding only to what truly matters. That's what it means to live from inner calm. Your outer world may change, but your inner world stays steady. You can reinforce this calm throughout the day with small grounding phrases. Whisper to yourself, I move through today with ease. I have enough time to do what matters. I carry peace within me. These statements don't just sound good. They keep your subconscious aligned with the calm you cultivated overnight. Every time you repeat them, you remind your nervous system that it's safe to relax. At night when you prepare to rest again, you'll feel a gentle sense of gratitude. You'll notice how different life feels when peace leads the way. You'll see how relationships flow more smoothly, how decisions come with less confusion, how challenges lose their power to shake you. You'll understand that calm is not something you chase anymore. It's something you create daily and carry everywhere. This transformation doesn't require a new schedule or a new environment. It requires presence. It begins with one decision: to treat your inner peace as a priority, not a luxury. Each night you give yourself permission to rest fully. You invest in a stronger tomorrow. Each morning you honor that peace. You expand it. Over time, calm becomes your default response to life. You still feel emotion, but you're no longer ruled by it. You can face difficulty without panic and joy without attachment. When you wake each day carrying the calm you created overnight, you step into the world differently. You move with quiet confidence. You make choices from clarity, not impulse. You listen more deeply, love more fully, and live more intentionally. You no longer wake to survive the day. You wake to create it. That is what real peace feels like. Not the absence of movement, but the presence of steady control. So as the new day begins, take a moment before rising. Feel the calm you built through your rest. Let it fill your chest, your breath, your thoughts. Remind yourself that no matter what happens, you have already created peace within. The world may rush, but you don't have to join it. You can move through it with grace, anchored by the quiet strength you built in the dark hours of night. And when you carry that calm into your day, you become living proof that peace isn't something you wait for. It's something you practice, nurture, and wear proudly as the energy that defines your life.